The refugee transport Callistra drifted quietly through orbit above Earth. Its metal frame groaned from years of patched repairs, its hull scarred by meteors and battles fought far from this quiet blue world. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with the scent of recycled air and the silence of broken hopes. Among the passengers was a girl no older than 17 by human reckoning, though her species aged differently. Her name was Lira. She was from the Veari, a people known for their crystalline eyes and delicate, feather-like hair that shimmered in colors depending on their moods. Once, her people had lived on the fertile plains of the planet Vear Prime. Now, those plains were blackened ash, glassed by the Madrex fleet during the war. The Veari had fled, scattering across the stars in desperate search of sanctuary. But sanctuary was rarely given. Every system she had traveled through, every station, every planetary government had turned her away. They said the same things in polite voices or cruel ones. We don't have the resources. We can't take in more refugees. We don't trust your kind. By the time the transport reached Earth, Lira had already been rejected more than 100 times. The tally haunted her like scars carved across her heart. Each time she approached someone, human, alien, merchant, or soldier, she was met with a shake of the head, a closed door, or even stones hurled to chase her away. She clutched a worn satchel containing the only remnants of her life. A shard of glass from her family's home dome, a torn sketchbook, and a blanket that still smelled faintly of her mother. When the docking clamps locked onto the transport and the great bay doors of Earth's orbital station opened, the others surged out, desperate to find work or housing. Lira followed slowly, her crystalline eyes dim with exhaustion. Earth had a reputation among refugees. Sometimes merciful, sometimes suspicious. She could only hope it would be different this time. But the rejection began again almost immediately. "Sorry, we're full," said one housing clerk. "We can't take responsibility for your kind," muttered a security officer. Even a local shopkeeper waved her off, whispering to his assistant, "Don't let her linger. People will think we're harboring strays." By the end of her first week on Earth, she was sleeping in alleys beneath neon signs, shivering beneath her threadbare blanket as cold rain soaked her feathers. People passed her without a glance. A few threw coins, not out of kindness, but as if tossing scraps to a stray animal. It was on her 9th day on Earth that she met him. Jonas Hale was an engineer mid-30s, who had served in the Interstellar Corps during the Veari Madrex War. His ship had been stationed far from the front lines, repairing jump drives and tending to wounded transports. He had never fought, but he had seen the endless waves of displaced beings, Veari among them, streaming through his repair bays, their lives shattered. Now, back on Earth, Jonas lived a quiet life in the industrial sector of New Chicago. He rented a small workshop on the edge of the district, where he fixed machines no one else bothered with. Old farming droids, hydro pumps, and children's toy mechs. His life was steady if lonely. On that rain-soaked night, Jonas left his workshop late, locking the heavy steel door behind him. As he turned toward the tram station, he saw her, curled against a wall, knees drawn to her chest, hair glowing faintly in soft hues of sorrow. Most would have walked past. Jonas stopped. She noticed him staring, and her crystalline eyes widened, shimmering faintly with fear. She expected him to tell her to leave, to look at her with disgust, or, like so many others, to offer a false kindness that ended in rejection. Instead, Jonas crouched down. "You'll freeze out here," he said quietly. "Do you have anywhere to go?" Her voice was soft, halting, carrying the faint musical lilt of her people. "No, nowhere." Jonas hesitated. He had heard the warnings. Don't take in refugees, don't get involved. Bureaucracy was merciless, and kindness could be costly. But something in the girl's eyes, the tired resignation of someone who had been told no too many times, stirred something deep in him. "Come with me," he said at last. Lira blinked. You're not turning me away." Jonas shook his head. "Everyone deserves a place to be safe." For a long moment, she stared at him as though trying to decide if this was another cruel trick. Then, trembling, she stood and followed. Jonas's workshop was cluttered but warm. Tools lay scattered across benches, and the air smelled faintly of oil and ozone. He set up a cot in the corner, gave her a towel, and handed her a steaming mug of broth. She drank it with shaking hands, savoring the warmth. Over the next days, Lira adjusted to this strange new life. She helped around the workshop, organizing tools and cleaning. Her delicate fingers proved surprisingly adept at handling fine circuitry, and Jonas soon found her beside him, assisting with repairs. "Careful," Jonas said one morning as sparks flew from a malfunctioning droid. Lira laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "I may not know your machines, but I've rewired starship panels. I'll manage." Jonas chuckled. She was right, she had skill. Yet outside the workshop walls, the world remained harsh. When she ventured into markets, people still eyed her with suspicion. Children pointed at her glowing hair, while adults muttered about alien strays. Each cruel word cut deep, reminding her of all the times she had been rejected before. One evening Lira asked, "Why did you take me in? You don't even know me." Jonas paused, setting aside his tools. "Because I've seen what happens when no one does. I watched whole families die waiting for a yes that never came. I promised myself, if I could ever help I would." Her eyes glistened. For the first time since she lost her home, she felt the fragile spark of belonging. Weeks turned to months. Together they repaired machines, shared meals, and told stories of their worlds. Lira taught Jonas fragments of her language, while he showed her how to cook Earth's strange foods. She even decorated the workshop with sketches from her old book, drawings of her home world's twin suns and shimmering lakes. But safety never lasted long for refugees. One evening, a patrol unit arrived at the workshop. An inspector stepped inside, his gaze cold as he scanned the cluttered space. His eyes landed on Lira, and his expression hardened. "You know the law, Hale. Harboring undocumented refugees is a violation." Jonas stood firm. "She's not a threat. She works, she helps, she deserves a place." The inspector sneered. "That's not your decision. She'll be relocated." Relocated. Lira knew what that meant. Camps on barren moons, endless waiting, starvation. She clutched Jonas's sleeve, panic in her eyes. Jonas met the inspector's gaze. "No. She stays." Tension filled the workshop. The inspector glared but finally left, muttering about consequences. Jonas exhaled heavily, shoulders sagging. "You risked everything," Lira whispered. He smiled faintly. "You're worth it." For the first time she believed it. Ending. Word spread through the district. The human engineer who had given an alien girl a home. Some mocked him, others called him reckless. But a few, quietly, cautiously, began to bring their own kindness. A farmer brought extra food. A neighbor dropped off blankets. Teacher offered old books. Slowly, the wall of rejection began to crack.